guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to another video. Now today we are back with the Championship predictions and I'm joined by Harry. How you doing, mate?
I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. Even despite the last night's result, I'm doing okay.
Yes, we're recording this on the Wednesday, so not all of the midweek fixtures have been complete yet. Last week I went up against Leon, that is the scores against him, and that is now the scores against the guests as well. Let's get into this video then. Huddersfield versus Cardiff City. In my opinion, two teams that are going in opposite direction in terms of form. Huddersfield did get a draw against Birmingham in the week, but they still haven't won since that Swansea game, and that Swansea game was a bit of a one-off, I think. Against Cardiff, I just don't see Huddersfield getting anything. Cardiff are in good form. Huddersfield 0, Cardiff 1.
I don't think it's going to be quite that tame, to be honest. I think that Cardiff are on an absolute rampage at the moment. I can't see who's going to stop them in this form, because some of their scorelines have been absolutely ridiculous. And some of Huddersfield's scorelines have been ridiculous as well. Granted, that 4-1 was a freak result. But I don't see them doing it again, to be honest. I think that's going to go down to a 3-0 to Cardiff.
3-0 to Cardiff.
Yeah. I can just see it. I can just see it.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Saturday lunchtime game, Watford versus Nottingham Forest. This should be interesting. Watford have picked up the momentum. They're charging towards second place. They're trying to get automatics. Nottingham Forest have just about got a good gap over the bottom three. I think they'll be fine this season. But is this one too much? I don't know. Do you know what? I'm going to back Forest to get a draw here. I know Watford are in good form, but Forest have been a bit of an obstacle for some teams, so I'm going to go for 1-1.
Yeah, Chris Hughton's done a fantastic job so far, hasn't he, since coming in. They're probably safe now. They've got a fair chunk of points and they're going to keep picking them up. Don't think they will in this game though. I think Watford are just going to have a little bit too much, so I'm going to go for 2-1 to Watford. 2-1
to Watford. Next up, Barnsley versus Birmingham. Now, this should be quite interesting because Birmingham have slightly they've slightly changed their form a bit. They've picked up a few points lately. 2 wins and a draw coming into this one. Barnsley's form, though, is just electric, so you would back Barnsley, but Birmingham are a funny team. They might get in the way. I don't know. I still think Barnsley. It's going to be a close one, this, but I'm going to go for Barnsley 2-1.
I reckon Barnsley are going to try their damnedest to get 3 points out of this one, but I think Birmingham, they've been enjoying their late goals lately. Scott Hogan bagging, not in the last game, but bagged a last-minute equaliser a couple of weeks back against Wednesday. So I reckon they might end up doing the same thing here. I reckon it's going to be 1-1.
1-1. Next up, another team near the top versus another team near the bottom. Brentford versus Rotherham. This one should be interesting, but coming into this one, I'd imagine Brentford will still be the favourites, and can Rotherham do it? I don't think so. I'm going to go for Brentford to win this one 2-0.
Yeah, even if Brentford take an absolute pasting tonight against Norwich, I still think they're going to have to go in massive odds on to the Rotherham game. Rotherham's strength seem to be thus being tall, and I don't think that's going to draw Brentford too much. I don't think they'll get a goal. I think it's 2-0 as well.
Yeah, next up, Bristol City versus Queen's Park Rangers. 2 teams in mid-table and 2 teams that have had decent spells but probably will be playing Championship football again next year. Bristol City have turned the form around a little bit, but QPR, they're a funny team to predict. I might actually back QPR to win this one. I know Bristol have picked things up with Pearson, and I think they could reignite their season, but I'm going to go for QPR. I don't back them too often, so I'm going to go for Bristol 1, Queen's Park Rangers 2.
Yeah, QPR signing Charlie Austin in the January window has turned out to be something of a revelation for them, because I reckon he's probably just about already dragged them kicking and screaming to Championship safety, and I think they'll just have enough to shut out Bristol City because they're not quite on the form that they were at the start of the season, although Nigel Pearson is doing a good job steering that team out of their little rut they went on. I think it's going to be 1-0, but it's going to be tight.
Okay,
to QPR, that is. To QPR.
Okay, next up we have Coventry City versus Derby. Now, after Coventry losing to Middlesbrough, I feel like we need to bounce back with a win here. We drew 1-1 at Pride Park, and I think I'm actually going to go for 1-1 here. I feel like Coventry really need Matty Godden to come back with his goals. And while he's out, I'm just not too convinced that we're able to score 2 goals in any game. If we were to score 2 in this one, I might back us 2-1, but like I say, I just can't see it happening. So I'm going to go for 1-1. Derby are a decent team.
I think Godden might be back on Saturday. I think he wasn't in the squad last night because Mark Robbins wants to make sure he's as fit as he can be going into this season-defining run of fixtures. So I think we may see him on the bench because Robins has been doing that recently, and I reckon he's going to come on late, and I reckon he might bag. I don't think we'll shut Derby out, and I think we'll get 2 goals. I reckon it's going to be 2-1.
2-1 to Coventry, I like it. I like the positivity. Next up, Millwall versus Blackburn. Blackburn really sliding down the table, another defeat in midweek against Reading. And I think I'm going to back Millwall here. Honestly, I just don't think this Blackburn team look like they can pick up any points. It's a real shame because they started the season really well, but it is what Tony Mowbray does, and I think Millwall will win this one. I'm going to go for 2-0.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it on the channel before when I've been on. It's classic Mogger, isn't it? He's a storming first half of the season, then does some really peculiar things after Christmas. I think they've picked up 1 point in the last 21, and that was against us. That was a really shocking run of form they're in. I can't see them picking up against Millwall because they're a decent, solid team at the moment. I reckon they're not looking at a pasting. I reckon they'll just lose it 2-1.
2-1. Next up, Norwich versus Luton Town. Now this one you probably expect Norwich to win, but I think Norwich, the position they're in, they can probably afford to drop a few points because they've actually got a nice comfortable gap over the teams chasing second place, but I don't think Norwich will lose this one. I think Norwich will be able to win this. Luton are a decent team, they've picked up decent points this season, they'll definitely stay up. They'll give them a good game, but Norwich to win this 2-1.
Yeah, it depends partly on what happens in the Brentford game tonight as to how much Norwich will go for this, I think. But even with their second team, they'll probably cruise past Luton. I think they'll probably end up 3-1 winners because Luton, if they're not careful, they're going to drag themselves into this bottom 3 scrap.
Next up we've got Preston North End versus Bournemouth. Now Bournemouth, the team that just need to cement that top 6 finish. It's going to be tight, and against Preston, I don't know, I mean Preston, they've been a funny team this season, picked up some really good points on the road, but at home I'm not really convinced by Preston, so I'm actually going to back Bournemouth to win this, but I'll go with 1-0 to Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, even though they are a bit of a on and off team, I feel like maybe they're starting to come back up the ranks a little bit. They've got to at some point. I think they'll go for this one. I think they'll go 2-0.
2-0. Next up we have Reading versus Sheffield Wednesday. Both teams need the points for opposite reasons. Darren Moore coming into Sheffield Wednesday, his first away game here at the Madejski against a Reading team trying to cement that top 6 finish after a decent win against Blackburn. They're nearly there. They just need probably about 4 or 5 more wins, I reckon. If Reading can get past 70 points, maybe to 75, then they should be able to finish in the top 6. I don't know. Oh God, it's a tricky one. I'm actually going to go for Sheffield Wednesday to get something. I'm going to go for a draw, 1-1.
I'm going to go for a draw, but I'm going to go for a no-score draw. I think Darren Moore's first priority after coming in will be to just stop them leaking goals. But when you do that, you sacrifice attacking ability. I don't know how the game against Sheffield Wednesday, against Rotherham will go tonight, obviously, because we're recording it 2 hours before kick-off. But I think that even if they do win tonight, Darren Moore's still going to be focused on not leaking goals.
Next up, Stoke City versus bottom of the table Wycombe Wanderers. Now, can Wycombe pick up the points here? They've picked up a few decent results, but I'm going to go for Stoke. I do fancy Stoke to win this one. They've still got that chance of sneaking into the playoffs, and I think they're going to be professional here and pick up all 3 points in a 2-0 win.
Wycombe have been a little bit like us, I'd say, some points of the season. They've run teams close but not quite got the job done. Uche Pizu's, he's been incredible since he's hit form for Wycombe. He's bagged a few in recent weeks, but I don't think he can do it on his own. I just think the rest of the team isn't quite up to Stoke's level, as they can say for most teams in the Championship, to be honest. I think they're going to lose. I think they're going to lose 2-1 to Stoke.
And the final game is at the Liberty Stadium, where Swansea take on Middlesbrough, a team trying to secure the top 2 versus a team trying to secure the top 6. And after seeing Middlesbrough play Coventry, I thought they were fairly professional at how they got the result over the line. I think Coventry started well, but Middlesbrough had the legs to go all the way. And this Swansea team, I don't know, they're a bit hit and miss. So I feel like Middlesbrough will get something here, but Swansea they're still a decent team, so I'm going to go for another draw here. I think it'll be 1-1.
I think the reason Middlesbrough beat us last night was a combination of the ability to sustain pressure with having fitter players and better players off the bench, and poor defending from Coventry. I don't think Swansea are going to have that issue. Quite clearly they're a better team than us. I just don't think that Middlesbrough will be able to exploit them in the same way they exploited us. I'm not sure Middlesbrough are going to score in this one. It depends on their team selection, but I think Swansea will have too much. I think it'll be 2-0.
2-0. That wraps up the Championship predictions, guys. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video, guys. Peace out.